Greetings, duelists, and welcome to Deck Report, Week 4 of Season 4. Um, I am still piloting the Maliss deck. I did do a few changes from the last list. I have two reports. Basically, I went to two events this past week. I went to Locals on Thursday, and I played YCS for Orlando VIP qualifier tournament on Saturday. On Locals, I went 4-0. I went undefeated. At the VIP qualifier event, I ended on a 3-2 record. So my matchups this entire week has been entirely Ryzeal and Maliss. I have not faced any other deck in this past week. My two losses were to the Maliss mirror match. It's still due to Lancia, but at the same time, two of those games I did lose because I bricked. I pretty much opened almost unplayable. There was one game where both me and my opponent both opened unplayable, and we were both trading each other cards until whoever drew their engine first. I drew my engine first, however, my engine got stopped, and then they drew their engine after I did, and they just won the war of attrition. And that's pretty much it. Another mirror that I lost to, shout out to MRTCG. I might post his channel on the description. It was a really good mirror match. I did pretty much every single judgment call correct except for two of them, and that costed me the match. So, for just to give clarification, I made my Maliss mirror match opponent go first, which was correct because they did side Lancia. And like again, if you saw my last deck profile, I explained why Lancia is not good in the mirror match unless you know that you're going second. Not only that, I did side the right cards. I did drew the right cards. Like I drew both Ghost Reaper and I drew Ash Blossom, and I did it on the two pivotal choke points of the deck. However, one mistake I did was I sided out MTP07, and that would have won me the match because it would have made it so my Maliss opponent had no follow-up, no way to just break my board, and I just could have won the war of attrition after trading my engine with his engine. So those were my two losses. I faced against 5 Ryzeals in total this past week, and I've defeated all of them. 2 were Fiendsmith variants, while 3 of them were the pure variant. You will see with the main deck that I did change a few things, and it just worked out like deck building wise. Yeah, I'll just go through the deck and then I'll just talk about the deck moving forward and maybe plans after Supreme Darkness because, when Supreme Darkness hits in the TCG, this build is probably not gonna be optimal anymore, and I kind of want to explain it. So, 3 Dormouse, 3 Rabbit, 3 Cat. I think moving forward, I'll just keep playing 3 cats. I've been liking 3 cats so far, especially now because in this build we are main decking Dimension Shifter, which I will explain. Alongside the Shifter, we have the 6 Bestial names, like we're still on 6 Bestial, and the last monster is Thoughtscaper. So I think that's 19 monsters. Spell cards, 3 Underground, triple Allure of Darkness, triple Talents, triple Mind Control. I dropped enemy controller down to 1 copy this time. Thrust, Terraforming, Change of Heart, Feather Duster, Gold Sark, and the 3 Malice Traps. Strike, Ningaribo, Ding Decoder, Lizardos, Splash, IPSP, Ramson, White, Cryptor, Firewall, Access, Griffin, Terahertz, and the Terahertz targets. And side deck, 3 Ash, 3 Reaper, triple Shared Ride, triple Imperm, and triple Impulse. Explanation time. So, as you can see from my build, I am main decking Dimension Shifter now. The number one reason for main decking Shifter is that I am no longer afraid of the mirror match. Like, if you are smart, this card can beat the mirror match if on game 1. On games 2 and 3, you just side it out, but on game 1, like, a lot of your opponent will try to do a lot of their initial Maliss Link Climb plays way too early and exhaust all their like main deck Maliss monsters. If they go by the typical line where they go Dormouse into Lizard into like Rabbit into Ramson and then TB11, after they bring back the Ramson, you can shifter them, and they're pretty much put on a spot where they need to link away into Cryptor immediately, and they're going to lose everything. Or they can go for the White Binder play, but they're going to lose their traps. And that's really good for you, because since we're blinding second in this deck, their Maliss resources are going to be gone before yours, which means that you can just punish them by like either A, taking away all their monsters like with your control traps, or B, make them waste all their traps and all their monsters early, and by the time their next turn comes around, your Maliss will be on full rotation while theirs will not. So Shifter is not really that bad against the mirror. Like, anybody who tells you otherwise, like, they probably have not tested this format enough. This is also really good against Ryzeal. Like, I've 2-0'd every single Ryzeal opponent whenever I drew this card. And I drew this card 3 times against Ryzeal. Like, against the pure build, they cannot tribute for Node, they cannot send for Ice Ryzeal to special summon, they cannot send for X. Their only real play is normal summon Ice and hope that resolves, and their only real extender is Sword Ryzeal. So if you can stop them from playing, or you just punish them with your board breaking cards, Shifter just really hurts the pure Ryzeal deck. And that's not even talking about the Fiendsmith variant. The Fiendsmith variant just auto loses to this card. Like, I think moving forward, I'll keep playing Shifter. I did not regret this choice in this deck at all. Like, depending on what happens on post Supreme Darkness, we might just switch to another variant of the deck. But at least from my testing, I have been liking Dimension Shifter so far. Worst case scenario is just another Allure target. Just having extra Allure targets that are not Maliss names does come up. It did come up for me a lot. I don't mind playing the 6 Bestials. Whenever you're just playing the mirror match, you just side out the shifters, and you side out like half of the Bestials, and you just side out like 1 or 2 cards, and whatever you're siding in is going to be like the aforementioned cards that I brought up last profile, which would be the Impulse, the Reapers, and the Ash Blossoms. And if you haven't seen that video, I encourage you to watch it. I explain how you beat Maliss with these combination of cards. If you just go second, you put them on a very awkward position if they side Lancia, because Lancia is going to shut down their own engine, and it makes it easier for you to just like board break them. While if you play these cards, you don't get punished at all, even if they make you go first. So another card I want to talk about is Shared Ride. If you've been on this channel, you know how I really like this card, and I just cited in for some formats. So this card is really good against Ryzeal, but not only that, it's also really good against Fiendsmith variants, against Jubel. I did play against one Jubel. That is the only one game that was not Ryzeal or Maliss. Against like a lot of other decks, this card is really good. The reason I opt for Shared Ride and not something like, for example, Droll and Lockbird is because if you side in Droll and Lockbird, it shuts down your MTP07, and that situation does come up. While if you play Shared Ride, your MTP07 is still live, but your opponent is pressured into not just giving you more cards, because like Maliss is a deck that just really destroys your opponent if they cannot like capitalize on whatever they're making. And drawing out of this is just as strong as drawing out of a Moch Army, because it can just be triggered. It has the easiest trigger condition. So I'm actually happy that I'm playing this and not something like Dimensional Barrier. My issue with Dimensional Barrier is that, yes, it does hold them down for a turn, but if you cannot capitalize on what you're stopping, you cannot beat them the next turn. Like, it's game over for you. While if you do like Shared Ride, you're getting card economy back, which means your next turn is going to be even stronger than your opponent if they actually try to make a board. But if they don't make a board, Maliss is just one of those decks where they can just easily like OTK your opponent if they're not too careful. So far, I have to say I really like Shared Ride. Another really cool thing about this card, I think this card is kind of future proof, because post Supreme Darkness, you're going to see a lot more decks that are just going to be more susceptible to this card. Like, for example, Crestron and the Mitsurugi hybrid deck. Like, I think those decks will be in the format, and once those decks start like being playable, this card just takes more advantage out of those decks than like few other cards. So yeah, that's it for Shared Ride. So the thing I'm skeptical about is what's going to happen, because I think post Supreme Darkness, the board breaking approach of this deck is not going to be viable anymore, because if you don't specifically open Dimension Shifter, there are going to be cards that are just going to capitalize their effects on you. Like, you can make the argument that the Bestials are going to help you, but like, without the Bestials and without Dimension Shifter, without these 9 cards, Twins of the Eclipse and the Mitsurugi engine and the Ouroboros hand loop are going to be very popular, and you need to find a way to fight off all those cards if you don't open these 9. So one thing that I'm thinking of is I move the Mind Controls to the side, and I just main deck Ash Blossom and Dominus Impulse. And if I have more room, if I have enough room, I'll probably main the Infinite Impermanence as well. And that gives me 18 cards that are really good into like the future Supreme Darkness meta. So this is just a prelude of what I'm thinking of for my next Maliss build. My other issue with Maliss right now is that there's no real way to fix the redundancy and the consistency issue that the deck has. Like, so far we just have to take what we can get. you can make the argument for playing like silent mining. The problem with silent mining and the problem with the Sky Striker engine, and the reason I don't play those cards, is because all those cards conflict with Dimension Shifter, and I think Dimension Shifter is just really, really good right now. I think a lot of players are not respecting this card. Even Maliss players are not respecting this card. I think the Fiendsmith engine is still very popular. I think Mitsurugi is going to be a real deck. I think Crystron is going to be not like super meta, like in the top 3 or anything, but I think Crystrons will find a place in the format, and this card is just really strong against them as well. So, yeah, those have been my shower thoughts for now. I kind of want to make a video talking about Supreme Darkness as a whole, like, very soon. But until now, this has been my deck report. I hope you found it informative to your liking and understanding. Yeah, until next video, keep practicing and keep dueling.